Miss Monreal, you nailed it. So you have a thenar eminence, which is your thumb pad, a hypothenar eminence, which is your pinky pad. There's actually three muscles that make up your pinky pad. What two words do you think are in all three of those muscles? Anybody? Miss Nguyen. Miss Nguyen.
Actually the Polish.
No, that's the thenar eminence. The thumb pad would have polysis. I'm talking about the pinky pad.
Oh.
The hypothenar eminence.
Okay. And so, what is it?
Miss Petrie, did you have a comment?
Digiti Minim?
Yes, that's right. Digiti Minim. Yes, you're right. Digiti Minim. Totally cool. And we're going to look up three muscles that I call make the hand sandwich. It's a little play on words instead of ham sandwich, hand sandwich, because there's three layers of muscle in your hand. There's a dorsal and a palmar interossei, and the lumbricals. So those three muscles make up your hand sandwich. So let's look at this. Once again, let me share my slide presentation with you and make another plea for how to look at the carpal tunnel. So yesterday, you wonderful about to graduate students who have explored muscles from the toes to the head and have gone down the arms and are now at the fingertips and are basically done with your exploration of anatomy, muscular anatomy of the human body. Yesterday, we discovered that three of the thumb muscles, the three thumb muscles that make up, I know there's four up here, but remember one's in your webbing. The three muscles that make up your thenar eminence all have origins on the flexor retinaculum. All have origins in the flexor retinaculum. That was the abductor pollicis brevis, flexor pollicis brevis, and oppidans pollicis. All three of those have origins on the flexor retinaculum. Today, we will learn that the muscles of your digiti minimi, like your flexor digiti brevis, abductor digiti minimi, all have origins also on the flexor retinaculum, which means the base of this area and the base of this area are connected into the flexor retinaculum, which means if you roll this thumb out and you roll that pinky out, roll that out and roll that out at the same time, you will spread the flexor retinaculum, which means you will increase the tunnel, the carpal tunnel, that tunnel. So the same thing I'm telling you about the thumb yesterday, I'm just telling you more of it. I'm saying these pinky muscles here grab on the same place too, so that's why I tend to grab the thenar eminence and the hypothenar eminence and roll them out on people's hands to open up this tunnel. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Moving right along. Okay. You've got some muscles. I don't want to get into this too deeply because the origins and insertions aren't incredibly important. What I want you to realize is that you have lumbricals, I'm going to come back to them in a second, palmar interossei, and dorsal interossei. And all three of these are essentially found between your metacarpals. So between these bones in my hand, between them, if I go from the palmar side, I would first hit the lumbricals. If I kept digging in, I'd hit the palmar interossei, and by the time I got to the back side, I'd hit the dorsal interossei. And these muscles are essentially found, not the lumbricals, are a little bit on top, but these muscles are essentially found between my metacarpals. And that is very important because if you're not massaging between those bones, you are missing three very key sets of muscles. Yeah. just like in the foot, the lumbricals here actually have a very strange origin where they actually grab on to the flexor digitorum profundus muscle, which goes to all your fingers. So these guys grab onto those tendons too and help you do some of those same actions. And
They grab onto what?
the lumbricals actually don't have an origin on a bone. Their origin is on the tendons of the flexor digitorum. So I don't know if you remember this, Miss Hanson, from the foot, but let's just take the hand. Jeez. Let's just take the head. There's this flexor no, it doesn't go there, sorry. I already lied. There's this flexor digitorum profundus muscle that's way up in your forearm that comes up here. It's in your forearm. It's a flexor muscle here. It attaches to your fingers. Well, the lumbricals are actually muscles that attach to this thing before they go to the fingers. So it's another one of these kind of assisting muscles. Yeah. And it's even weirder than that. You'll have to actually look at my hand to kind of think about this. The lumbricals are here, and they're attached to this tendon that's already going through here to my fingers, the flexor digitorum profundus. The lumbricals are here, but they actually go and reach and attach up here on the extensor side of my fingers. So they're on the flexor side, and they reach up and grab on to the extensor side. And so look at the actions of this muscle. They're very weird. It says to extend the second through fifth fingers at the interphalangeal joints. So it means these, right? Not here. This is phalangeal metacarpal joint right here. These knuckles down here, the proximal and distal interphalangeal joints, it helps to extend them while flexing the metacarpal joints. So it can pull this down but extend these. Why might you want to pull these down and extend these at the same time? Because if you're a massage therapist and you want to have your fingers really straight, what you have to do is pull them down while extending them. So these muscles actually help you guys do massage therapy. Because they're kind of fighting themselves on purpose. They help you pull down but lift up at the same time. They help you do stuff like this. Get these really kind of hard fingers and things like that. So they're very significant. They're really neat muscles, actually. The lumbricals, as one of my really good students said, were his favorite muscles. He just thought they were so cool because they did such weird things. They had origins on another tendon. They start on one side and end up on another side. They kind of create two seemingly opposite actions. And it's just a cool way to look at them. So anyway, but they are the things that help you have rigid fingers. I mean, it helps you move them, but really the purpose is so you can fight that movement and try to extend and flex at the same time, and you get nice straight fingers so you can poke at people and do massage therapy and make money. Money, money, money. Yeah, that's the lumbricals. But what do I really want you to remember from all this? It's just that there's 3 layers of muscle in your hand here to go through. And that I really want you to not just rub a hand. I hate when I see people do this. Okay. I hope you don't rub backs like that. Because a lot of people rub hands and feet like amateurs rub backs. They kind of, okay. That's not massage. Massage is getting in between this stuff and actually opening it up and trying to get through all of the lumbricals and their interossei muscles. So, after we go through the lumbricals here, going through the lumbricals, we get to the palmar interossei. These truly are between your metacarpals, truly between your metacarpals. And they actually help to pull your fingers together, to adduct them. And they're very important for that reason too. Again, it's not so much that you use these muscles to go around like this all day, adducting. It's that these muscles help give you rigidity, right? If you can't pull your fingers in and hold them kind of tightly, and then you can't poke with them. So these muscles, along with the lumbricals, really help you get rigidity in your hands. And the dorsal interossei do the opposite. They help you pull your fingers apart. And they live between your metacarpals as well. So now you've got three muscles. The lumbricals help you kind of extend and flex down. The palmar interossei helps you adduct. The dorsal interossei helps you abduct. And if you flex all of those at once, you have locked, rigid fingers. I'm not saying these muscles don't do other things, but I'm saying that's why they're important to massage therapists, because they allow you to poke with your fingers. You've got to have things that are opposing each other. When I'm sticking out my arm out here and making it rigid, I'm actually lifting it up and pulling it down at the same time to make it rigid. That's the same thing you do with your fingers. You have to pull them down, lift them up, spread them out, and close them in to make them rigid. Otherwise, they just open up or bend down, right? You have to oppose an action to get rigidness, right? You lock everything down. That's what these guys do really well. So don't get me wrong. They help you with, little hand actions and things like that. But working all together, they can actually help you tie your hand together and make it stiff when it needs to be. So, there is a hand sandwich. There is a hand sandwich that goes lumbricals, palmar interossei, dorsal interossei. Or dorsal interossei, palmar interossei, lumbricals. Or lumbricals, palmar interossei, dorsal interossei. Miss Stanley, do you have a question? Because your face says you have a question or a thought.
You probably kind of, in a way, explained it for Leggy, but all these muscles almost look like they're in the same spot, and I don't know if they're more superficial or...
Yeah, that's it. They are in the same spot, and some are more superficial and some are more deep. So, let's go from the back of my hand. If we took a knife and we cut my skin off here between my bones, between my metacarpals, you would see my dorsal interossei, which is in the slide right here.
Okay.
If we dug those away a little bit, remember they're thin. If we scraped them away, we'd actually get down deeper, we get to the palmar interossei. It's just closer to the palmar side, that's why they call it that. So it's underneath the dorsal interossei, we get to the palmar interossei. If we scrape down still deeper than that, we kind of break through it to the palm and we get to the lumbricals. So there are lumbricals on top of palmar interossei, on top of dorsal interossei, and the palmar interossei and dorsal interossei really are between those bones. Remember your intercostals? You guys remember your intercostals, the rib meat? Remember how you had interior and exterior intercostals? They were both between your ribs. They're both going opposite directions. And we just call them intercostals, but there are exterior and interior intercostals, just like there are internal, external obliques. Anyway, your interossei are very much like that. Your palmar and dorsal interossei are all between your metacarpals. It's just the dorsal interossei are higher up here, the palmar are deeper in, or the palmar are higher up here and deeper in. But the point is they're between those bones. You can get two muscles between those bones. You can. But they're layers. You're absolutely right. It's about superficial to deep. Yes, Miss Petrie?
Does that mean that the dorsal are the more superficial, or does it just depend on how you're looking at the hand?
Yes, maybe, kind of. So, if you want to get technical textbook, it does, by the way, matter how you're looking at the hand. Ms. Petrie, you're absolutely right. If you flip the hand over, it switches everything, right? But from an anatomical view, how do we stand? So, the most superficial from anatomical point of view would be the lumbricals. That's the first thing I'd hit. Then I'd get into the palmar interossei and then eventually the dorsal interossei. Which is, the dorsal interossei is the deepest. But Miss Petrie, just look for 1 second, just to be really clear. It is the most deep, but you're absolutely right. It's the most superficial on the backside of my hand, the dorsal interossei, because that's where they are. But we always talk as though we're coming through this way. That's just from yes. So anyway, you were right on everything you said. It depends on how you look at it and all that kind of stuff. But if you were taking like an MBLEX test, you'd say the dorsal interossei are the deepest because you go this way. And this is lumbricals, palmar interossei, dorsal interossei. Yes. But as a massage therapist, if you wanted to get the dorsal interossei, you'd flip the hand over and rub the back. Boom. Yes, we are on the same page. Thank you. Thank you for that clarifying question. Okay. So that is your hand sandwich. Also, I think you should remember 5 years from now is that you have a hand sandwich of lumbricals, dorsal interossei, and palmar interossei, and dorsal interossei. And 2 of those are truly between the bones. Lumbricals are kind of on top, but. And they help you to wiggle your fingers around. You don't even have to know what each and every one does. Cool? All right. Okay. Pretty much. You guys are starting to look a little burned out. Okay. Hang in there, Miss Giannis. She's like, you've been positive for 8.5 months. It's okay. Yeah, I got it. She's like, I'm winding down, buddy. Just hands. Okay. So they are palpatable. This person, who's this person? What muscles is this person rubbing on the left-hand side of this picture?
Would it not be the dorsal interossei that they're rubbing?
Yes. They're rubbing the deepest muscle, but it's not deep to them. They flip the hand over. They're rubbing the dorsal interossei. Beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful. And they are palpatable. Totally. And they are important. And people who love hand massage. So, what muscle is this person rubbing on the left-hand side?
Lumbricals?
Great, by the way, that would be the topmost muscle, and you're absolutely right, but they remove the lumbricals. This is one between the bones.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So this would be the
Palmar?
palmar interossei. Yep. But you're right, the lumbricals are on top of that, Miss Petrie. They just removed them. You're right. You're right. The way I could tell that these were interossei is because they were on the sides and they were kind of reaching on the sides, you know. Good. Okay. Let's talk about the hypothenar eminence. Yeah. Really, we're just talking about 3 pinky muscles. You guys already correctly pointed out that they will all have the word Digiti Minim in it. Yep. They all, I don't care what your book says, they all have an origin on the flexor retinaculum. I don't care about the 5th hamate, the hook of the hamate. Yeah, they're all hooked to the flexor retinaculum. That's their origin, just like the thumb muscles. Remember how you had a oppidens pollicis? Well, you've got an oppidens digiti minimi. Remember how you had a flexor pollicis brevis? Well, you've got a flexor digiti brevis. Remember how you had an abductor pollicis? Brevis, actually, in this case. Well, you've got an abductor digiti minimi. So, you've got one on the side that abducts, you've got one in front that flexes, and you've got one that actually helps you pull over, opinate, that's even more over here. Because your pinky goes in opposition to. It actually can cross over. If you look at it, it's crossing over my other fingers right here. Anyway, so you've got 3 muscles. If you just remember digiti minimi, you're good. But what do I really care about all 3 of these muscles? It's just like all 3 of the thumb muscles. They all have an origin on the flexor retinaculum. So they all have origins, and you can grab onto the hypothenar eminence and the thenar eminence and open up the carpal tunnel. I mean, I also care that you know there's muscles here because it actually feels really good. Pinch the side of your hand here without getting the bone, and you're hitting all 3 of those muscles. And it feels good. They're kind of cool. You are hitting, right now, the abductor digiti minimi, the flexor digiti minimi brevis, and the oppidens digiti minimi. And again, I promise for the test next week, to the best of my knowledge, there are no questions there that ask you to just guess whether it's a flexor digiti minimi brevis or flexor digiti minimi longus. Do you know what I mean? It's not trying to trip you up on little stuff. But if you see a muscle go into a pinky, it expects you to know that that's got Digiti Minimi in it. I mean, we expect you to use these logic of the rules I've given you, right? But we did this to help prevent you from having to memorize every single last muscle. Yeah? And so that is the abductor Digiti Minimi, flexor Digiti Minimi brevis, and opponens Digiti Minimi. And they make up your hypothenar eminence. And that is that.